Children, now we are going to discuss the third movement, the little train. Here we are discussing the plot, the story. The narrator is leaving home to go to school. The third movement, little train, opens with the narrator leaving home to go to school early in the morning. There was mist all over the air. Now the other thing is, Lamai, they have shifted to a new house from the half a house in Egodavatta. You know, they used to live in a half a house sharing with Mr. Mendis's family. But after some time, they have shifted to a new house again in the same vicinity, same area, Egodavatta. Father says that their new house must have been built in the coffee days, Kopi Kale, during the period of white people ruled country. This new house in Egodavatta may have been built during the coffee days. That is father's idea. However, he gets into the bus at Vijayarama Junction to go to school. He gets into the bus. In the bus, it is his secret addiction. Lamai, every day there was an addiction the narrator was used to doing. He is to be lost in his world of his past memories with Tony. He would love to be lost in his world of past memories with Tony in his childhood at Egodavatta and Depanama. Actually, he takes a corner seat in the bus and he is lost in his world of memories. So much he loves his past, so much. Then he was attending to now after he went to school, he was attending to a Sinhala literature lesson conducted by Master Jayakodi, Sinhala master. Master Jayakodi was teaching from Salalihini Sandeshe. But in the class, during the lesson, the narrator's attention was arrested. He was paying his attention by the nape of Padmini's neck. He was looking at the angle of Padmini's neck. Padmini is one of the colleagues in his class. Now he was distracted actually by the nape of Padmini's neck. Now he is not listening to the lesson conducted by the master. He was busy with something mischievous during the lesson. Actually, what he was doing was that he was secretly putting the hair plate of Padmini into the slot in the desk. He was putting the hair plate of Padmini into the slot in the desk, and across the hair plate he sticks a pencil so that it gets fixed in it. Suddenly the master, Mr. Chayakode, asks a question. Now several hands up goes. Padmini wants to answer. Padmini also wants to answer the question. The master comes to Padmini and asks the answer. Padmini stands up and falls on her French because her hair was caught inside the slot of the desk, and this scene causes a big commotion in the class. All the girls and others began to shout hysterically. The master came to know that it was the narrator, this Abhesekara, who did this mischievous thing, and He slaps on the narrator on the cheeks. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, during this scene, the narrator metaphorically compares the Sinhala master to the black dragon that they encountered at the rubber plot when they were roaming about the rubber plots during his childhood. After the completion of Pitagam Karyo in 1996, the narrator is tracing the landscape of his childhood. Children, here, after the completion of Pitagam Karyo in 1996, 12-hour long television series, the narrator is tracing the landscape of his childhood. In the heart of the narrator, begins a nost- feeling of nostalgia about his childhood in Egodavat and Depanam. So, he is going to trace the landscape of his childhood in Egodavat. It has been 46 years now since these scenes. The village Egodavat has become, now he is driving. Now he is driving in his car to recollect the memories of his childhood on a wave of nostalgia, about sorrow on his past. He is going to visit the past landscapes of his childhood. Now he finds that Egodawat has become a concrete jungle with box-like structures. There used to be beautiful trees, nature and rubber plantation, but now it has become a concrete jungle, which is unpleasant to see. This concrete jungle represents urbanization, Nagarikaranay. He visits the paddy field and Borlasgamur tank and rubber plantation as well. Instead of rubber trees, now there are hundreds of flat roofs, flat houses. That means Lamai, rubber plantation is gone. Instead of rubber plantation are hundreds of houses. This is urbanization. He also visits Varagal Estates, another place of rubber land, and also the house of Gira Ata. Now, when it comes to Gira Ata's house, and Gira Ata was the man who brings milk in the morning. He is also reminded of the rubber three brothers, Piyasena, Jayasena and Jinadasa. They are the three brothers who taught the narrator as to how to make boats out of plantain trunks. They taught the narrator to make boats out of plantain trunks. Kesel Kandan Walin boat to hadana හැටි කියලා දුන්නේ these three brothers. Then Giraata had told he is also reminded of some other story. Giraata had told his mother that during the Japanese air raid, British Hurricane fighter plane crash landed on Hawkandara stage. Then the writer was only 3 years of age. Now, actually, here the narrator is reminded of that scene Giraata said to his mother. During the Japanese air raid, World War II, when Sri Lanka was ruled by White Empire, British Empire, Japanese Hurricane fighter, yes, there was a raid against Japanese flights. Japanese flights came to bomb even Sri Lanka. Against that, British Hurricane fighter plane uh, launched, and one of the British planes crash landed in a coconut estate. Then the um, pilot who went in the aeroplane had to travel in the hackery cart of John. John is the carter, Karattakaru. The pilot had to travel by the cart to the dispensary. That scene he still can remember. He recollects them. Next Lamai, at the Coop store, he was reminded of Nirmali Akka singing. Now he is at the Coop store. He is at the place where the Coop store was. There, he is reminded of Nirmali Akka singing Ase Madura Jeevanaye Geeta, that particular song by Ananda Samarakon. There is the he emphasizes the fact that it is the first ever song the narrator heard in his life. First ever song he heard in his life. The writer sees an old woman and guesses that it is Chutti. Then he finds an old woman on his way. He finds that it is Chutti, Appuhami's youngest daughter. That youngest daughter, when she was a little girl, used to work for them when the narrator was in the big house in Devanam. Although he wanted to speak to her, suddenly there came within himself that inhibition. He has a fear to go too fast because he might find Tony, right? Then he visits the big house where Tony came into their family as a roly-poly fluffy pup. Big house at Depanam. He visits. After 46 years, he visits the big house in Depanam where Tony came into their family as a roly-poly fluffy pup. There used to be a big beautiful garden in which were fir trees, bougainvillea creepers. But today, fir trees and bougainvillea creepers were all gone. And on that big house, on the roof of the big house was a sculpted heron. Sculpted heron. වාත්තු කරන ලද කොකෙක් අඹලා හිටියා වහලේ උඩ. He used to, when he was a child, he used to see whether the crane was gone. He thought that it was a live crane. So he used to see every day in the morning whether the crane was gone. But after 46 years, when he revisits Depanama, he finds that even now the crane's gone. Even now the crane's gone. Actually, that sculpted heron has been broken by the process of time. That is what has happened.